So first of all, I want to thank LCE for giving me the opportunity to introduce what I do in the world. Mike and I do in the world. Um, and yeah, I want to just start off by just giving you a little bit of context, a little bit of more information about what it is that I do. I basically have two primary focuses. One is um, I I train people to become coaches, life coaches, and with that, I uh, help create coaching cultures inside organizations. And I've been fortunate enough to uh, bring that and also leadership development programs that I've created into a wide range of organizations and communities. Some of them being one I've been delivering. Hi, welcome. I've been delivering coach training and leadership development inside um, a big consulting company called Capgemini for the last 20 years. Uh, One of my more recent clients is Sony Music. I'm working specifically with their top HR people, bringing coaching and my signature program is called Badass Leadership. Um, and over the last 5 years, a big focus of mine and Mike's is that we've been bringing coaching into what's called in the United States marginalized communities. Uh, One of them being an organization called SNUG, and SNUG stands for gun spelled backwards. I'm multitasking here because I want to show you a picture. SNUG is made up of mostly um, people that were affiliated with gangs, people that were at risk of being shot or being shot. And they have turned their lives around and they're now working to reduce the gun violence in their communities. And I had the privilege, I don't know, about 3 years ago of both bringing in coaching training and leadership development classes. And I'm just going to show a picture. So this is one of the classes. And the reason I think it's really relevant to LCE is SNUG is funded by the New York State Criminal Justice Department. And they literally have, I don't know, something like 14 different cities that they operate out of. And when I say operate out of, they are literally in neighborhoods with the highest gun violence. And they do extraordinary work. So I've been able to do that. Mike and I also have worked with an organization called SAR. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Mike?
Yeah, sure. SAR is an acronym for Self-Awareness Recovery and was founded by an individual who was incarcerated for 39 years. And while he was in there, he did a great deal of healing, discovering the roots of his gang involvement and how he ended up as a teenager getting a life sentence. And so while he was incarcerated, he actually founded this organization that helped individuals go back to the roots of their childhood trauma to see what initiated their criminal and gang involvement. And then, once people had experienced this healing themselves, they could then support other individuals on this path. So he was so successful that when he was released, he already had a nonprofit started. He immediately hit the ground running, started working, and he actually goes and meets individuals at the gate when they're released from prison, and then employs them as credible messengers in the community, working with juveniles that are in the prison pipeline. helping to interrupt that flow and creating jobs and livelihood for formerly incarcerated. So he's still active with it, still busy. And one of the things he expressed was that he wanted to increase the leadership capabilities of his team. And so Eric and I met with him. We set up a pilot project similar to what you will experience today. And they were ecstatic. They were very impressed with how it just shifted their ability to lead. And SAR is still around. And recently I heard that they just received another round of grant funding by the California Department of Rehabilitation. So they're very successful. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mike. Yeah, and so
Sure.
what we'd like to do next is actually show you a video that actually Mike put together. So shout out to you, Mike. And this video is just a series of testimonials from the SNUG members that took the training. And so it's them expressing what they've learned from this. And hold on one second. I am challenged here. Yeah.
Praise him. Get up, get out, get to it. My name is Kwame Thompson. I'm a supervisor at Jacoby Hospital SNUG. And the last 3 days I experienced something amazing. When I say get up, get out of that space you're in, get out of your own way and get to something that works. Coaching really works. How do I know? My second day of coaching, we had an exercise where they paired us up and I was coached. And I said, you know what? I got a situation in my life that I want some help in. So I kept it all the way 100. Me and my fiance was going through some turbulence. We couldn't see eye to eye on communicating. When I was being coached, the coach used the tools that we just got in the second day, and it was so effective. I got some homework, went home and utilized what I was taught in this training. And on the second day of training, my relationship turned around for the better. So I know it works.
So I'm Teresa, and I'm from the Rochester SNUG here in Rochester. And what I've learned from the coactive model is a lot of different things in terms of active listening, that there's 3 levels of listening. I've also learned about boundaries and being more open. One of the things that I really took away from this is that it's essential to have boundaries and not overstep your boundaries when you're dealing with any kind of relationship. The coactive model is definitely essential for people of my background. And when I say my background, I mean my minority background. I think it's very essential for us to learn more in our community about these kinds of things that go on, and that we should be able to be aware of these things that are happening in our environment. We're not really taught these type of things. Sometimes lack of knowledge it's hurtful. If you don't know certain things and you don't have this type of information or access to it, you're not going to be able to learn these things. So a lot of these things are hidden, especially when it comes to us learning. And when I say us, I mean in the minority field. So I definitely learned a lot. This experience was great. I love the people that we had to work with. It was absolutely amazing. And I hope that we continue to learn different models and different aspects when it comes to us doing CTI trainings. Thank you.
That, like, coming up where I'm from and stuff, we ain't have nobody to for me, no life coaches or nothing like that. It was the older dudes on the block who told us what to do, and they wasn't telling us no positive things to do. Like, they wasn't listening to our story about what we was going through or any of that. They was just giving us drugs and guns to whatever, That's how the coaches we had coming up. So for me, growing and working in this field, I see like a lot of these young dudes really need that, like somebody to talk to and really listen to them and hear them out. So one thing that really stood out to me about the training is as you read the model, it basically breaks down everything, like every feeling or what every word mean, and you could listen to how they feel about it instead of like talking to them or talking at them. Like, sometimes you just should sit back and listen to what they got to say.
I learned a couple of things from the fundamentals training and on the coactive model of coaching. First and foremost, like the whole vulnerability piece and asking people for permission. It tends to create a safe space. So, you know, for me personally, the way that I was brought up, it was like, you know, it was no vulnerability. Like, I always had to be straightforward. I never felt like I could be myself in dealing with people, but I felt like the vulnerability that I show get other people to open up and be vulnerable themselves. It's the little things. Being an actual listener. Like, sometimes you think you're listening and you're not even listening effectively. And I feel like the things that I learned about active listening would help me in my personal life as well as my professional life in coaching others.
Ready.
Hi everybody, my name is Karja Dawkins Hamilton. I'm the program director for Jacoby Medical Center, Jacoby Snug. I'm also a licensed social worker. So coming into this training, I was a little hesitant because you're not quite sure what you're going to get, what new information people are going to share. But I definitely like this model because it allows me to really put back the power into my clients' hands and into my coachees' hands. I think it's a great model because it just basically is simple. I think sometimes mental health can be a little complicated because it's like, what model am I using? What method do I use? And it's just simply just being and having that person be themselves and bring out those positives and those dreams and those hopes themselves. So I like that about coactive coaching. I also love this model for our community because our community, we are basically trained from children all the way up that, you know, you do as you're told. Like, so reaching inside for your dreams is not something that you're told to do. And I shared earlier that had my mother tried to use this kind of way of raising me as opposed to like telling me what to do, really trying to see what was inside of me, there's no telling what I could have become. So I think one great thing about this is that our community definitely hate mental health. We don't want to be told we need to go to therapy, but to get a coach, to get someone who is on your side, working with you, side by side, you guys are doing it together, but you're the one coming up with these ideas and you're digging deep to see where the weaknesses are and where some of the strengths is and what your real hopes and dreams are. I think this is an amazing tool for our community, and the possibilities are endless if people can be coached, just because it's just so much inside that want to come out. And if we could give that just a little bit of a chance to come out, the world would change. This would be amazing.
All right. Wow. I just need a moment because, like, I haven't looked at this in years, and it's really bringing back a lot of gratitude, and it was an amazing experience. And the outgrowth of that is that now we're being asked to train the staff of the Department of Youth Justice for the state of New York. And hopefully through training them, it can then spread even further into the system.
And Eric, could I just interject something too? You know,
please,
like
please.
this work has inspired me to the point where I really see a potential to be able to interrupt the prison pipeline in the state of California, for example, because our state has decided that the California Department of Rehabilitation is no longer successful with juvenile justice. So they have turned it over to Health and Human Services for a new model. And so at this point, everything's up in the air. They haven't yet fully instantiated a restorative justice model, but there are many organizations, I'm going to say over 100 in the state of California, that are really, really invested in restorative justice as a new model of interrupting the prison pipeline. And so, you know, my intention is to assist with getting this kind of programming, what we're talking about today, coaching culture and models like Whole Mind and the Five Knowledge Centers into juvenile justice, because they need that connection and empathy and learning that we just heard these folks sharing about. So, yeah.
And I'm going to now have to piggyback on you, because also we've just got approved to bring coaching and leadership development in the United States. There are private industries that administer prisons. So this is a private company. Well, it's a public company, but it's not federal or state run. And we're also going to be bringing this into their world. So it's there's a lot of exciting stuff that's happening. And I also want to give all of you a little bit of an experience of what it is that we teach. So this is not going to be the whole enchilada, of course, but it's one of the models that we introduce. And as I said, we introduced this into the communities that we've been talking to, but we've also been delivering this into, organizations. It works for everybody, is what I'm saying. And the model that we're going to be, and by the way, I just want to set up that the next, 30 minutes or so, it's going to be very experiential. We're going to actually ask you to not just learn about the model intellectually, but to actually experience it. So do we have permission, and just raise your hand, do we have permission to kind of like go there in an experiential way? Is that all right with everybody?
Yes.
Great, fantastic, good. Okay, so let me introduce the model to you. And it's called the Five Knowledge Centers. You've all heard of assessments, right? This is not so much as an assessment as it is an accessment. And what I mean by that is the purpose of this model is to give you the ability to access different knowledge centers, different parts of yourself. So as you can see, it's a stick drawing of a person, and the head is a knowledge center, and it is actually in the Western world, it's probably the knowledge center that is most used. It's where we access reason. And then the heart is where we access love. And both the heart and the gut, they've done research in the last, 10 years or so. And what scientists have found out is that actually there's brain matter. It's when you say you're feeling it in your heart, or your heart is telling you something, that's not just a metaphor. That's actually scientifically proven now that there is, knowledge in your heart.
Absolutely right. And Eric, it's 1991 that they discovered the existence of afferent neurons in the heart, right? And
Right.
then recently, I think within the last 10 years, they found the same type of neurons in the ganglia of the solar plexus. So that's the gut. And so when we say, I knew in my gut that something wasn't right, my gut told me, or my heart told me, it's true. There is learning there. There are neurons in there. Great point.
Exactly. So, the heart is love, gut is intuition. The groin area is where passion resides. I say passion and creativity. So that's also a knowledge center that we're going to explore. And then the hands are what I call the kinesthetic, expressive part of the body. And it's also, we make things with our hands. So there's also the action component here. And by the way, ironically, when I made this co-created, I co-created with some other people. As you see, the circle around the stick drawing is nature. And what we mean by nature is, of course, nature, but it's also culture, it's systems, it's everything that is constantly being communicated to us that we then filter into these different knowledge centers.
Yeah. So that could be also considered to be like your environment. For example, if you're growing up in an urban area, and let's say your environment is filled with, violence, then of course it's going to impact those centers that you access most on a daily basis, right?
Right. Or if you're in an organization that is telling you to conform in a particular way, and all organizations do that. I'm not making them wrong. That will influence the way that you navigate those 5 knowledge centers.
Mm-hmm. And what comes forward for me, Eric, is that when we look at our world today, like we can see how heavily influenced we are in the world of reason, in the head, right? Even like our scientific imperatives, Darwin saying survival of the strongest, and believing that paradigm. And now here we are, 100 years later, realizing that from our heart, it tells us that it's really about cooperation and collaboration, that it's really about our connection, right? That is the impetus of our survival and our thriving together, So we're moving from that head down into the heart collectively, right? To connect more with one another. And I see living cities, that earth as proof evidence of that,
Well, and
Great.
I love what you're saying, because this is not only for the individual. This is also for the systems. The system has a head, heart, gut, groin, and hands, and we need to include all of that systemically also. And as I promised, we're going to give you an experience of that right now. So, are we all willing to be Hey, how's it going, Alexi? Good to see you. Are we all willing to be playful and to let go of figuring it out and to just be in the experience for the next, 10, 15 minutes? Is that okay?
Sure, why not?
All right, fantastic, great. So I want all of you to get in touch with a problem that you're facing in your life. It could be the planet, it could be something professionally, it could be something personal, and you're not going to need to talk about it. So, it could be something very, very personal too. So don't worry, we're not asking you to speak to it, but get in touch with that problem right now. And actually, I'm going to ask you to think about it. Go to your head and think about it. And notice what thoughts are coming into your head around this problem. You might want to look at the pros and the cons. What's the data that you need to know to tackle this issue? And notice also, where is it, as you're thinking about this, just listen to your body. What is your body, telling you right now? And by the way, there's a question for each knowledge center. And in the head is the what. What is the issue? What are the things I need to know? What's relevant? So that's the head. Now I'm going to ask you to go to your heart, and I'm going to actually ask you to put your hand on your heart. And your heart is the who. Who am I in this? Who do I need to connect with? Who's important? Just notice what's coming up when you listen to your heart. And take a moment now and actually look at the screen and just connect with somebody on the screen from your heart. And if you want, you can connect with a few. There's no rules here when it comes to the heart. Yeah. And just notice what's here when you're in your heart. And you can speak to it if you want. Is there anything coming up for you right this second as you're connecting?
Joy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm feeling vulnerable. And childlike almost. I'm feeling that kind of childlike vulnerability. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice.
I also
Yeah.
feel love.
Yes.
It's a lot of love.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. This is the part of the exercise that's always the most difficult for me because I can hang out here forever, but I'm leading you through a process. So I'm going to actually move you to the gut now. Okay. And if you want, you can put your hand on your gut or just go to your gut. And the gut, the question around the gut is where. The gut is kind of like our internal compass, always letting us know where we need to go next. So get in touch with the gut, the intuitive part of you that actually I call it the brilliant unknowing. What is your gut telling you about this issue or this problem that you're facing? Just allow that knowledge center to fully be expressed and present. Like, for instance, my gut is telling me, just trust it. Yeah. And if you feel like it, what is your gut telling you? Without, like I said, we don't need to know the story, but what's your gut telling you right this second?
My gut says, this is yours to do. You can do it. You have all that you need. You are called to this work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else?
My gut says yours, Eric. That's just trust it. Just trust the process. Go with the flow.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it. Yeah.
Well, in that case, we're going to go somewhere else now. And I'm going to ask all of you, if you can, if you can't, that's okay too. You can do this sitting down, but I like to do it standing up. We're going to go to the groin right now. And the groin is, the question there is why? You know, we're getting in touch with the passion, you know, the reason this is important. Okay. And the reason I stand up is that I like the way I like to get grounded in my groin is to really get grounded physically, right? Like, you know, like being a goalie, you know how a goalie is waiting and ready, or it could be a martial arts kind of stance where there's a readiness and a passion around it. Okay. So get in touch with that groin area right now. That and actually yesterday I was doing it with somebody and she said, actually it's my tailbone, it's not my groin. So if that works better, and I thought that was brilliant, you know, if that works better for you, you know, go there. Okay, but it's the hip area that we're talking about, that we're wanting you to go and just allow yourself to like go for it, you know, and you know, and relate it to that issue. Like if you were passionate about it, what would show up?
You know, I just learned a new Tai Chi movement that was like this ease and flow, but shifting my weight from the front to the back, you know. It was like going with the flow of energy, you know, and I really like that as being connected to my power source, you know. I really like that feeling, you know, that Tai Chi movement, you know, shifting the weight from the front to the back and side to side, you know.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And actually, Mike, you're taking us to the next knowledge center. So do some Tai Chi with your hands right now. I don't, you know, like, and everybody, like, like just start using your hand, like just allow your hands to do whatever it wants to do right now.
Right.
You know, and by the way, the question for the hands is how. It's the how. How are we going to do this? You know, so everybody just give yourself permission to use your hands and actually notice what's getting created on this Zoom screen when we're all expressing something with our hands. It actually shifts the energy. I like to say a quote from Immanuel Kant. He said that the hands are the visible part of the brain. Yeah. So there's a lot of information here, you know, for yourself and observing others. Okay. So that's the hands. Now I'm going to ask all of you, go back to your head, right? And when you're in your head, I'm going to ask you to integrate all of your knowledge centers. That's the power of the brain, is that ability to integrate and embody it all. And from this place, what's possible around this problem or challenge? Or it could be an opportunity too. And you can speak to it. I mean, what is possible when you're coming from that?
You know, what comes forward for me is giving permission to be led by the non-rational intelligence in me.
Yeah.
You know, there's a knowingness that's in my entire body, and I can allow it if I give it permission, you know.
Exactly.
That vulnerability or that love, you know, that I felt, allowing that to guide me, you know.
Yeah, and what's coming up for me is that I'm suddenly this 17-year-old basketball player again. Like, you know, like there was like an intelligence I had when I was on the court, when I was a kid, that I'm back in touch with again. Like bring it on.
Yeah.
You know, like You know,
Uh-huh.
what about the rest of you? What's
Yeah,
coming up for you?
I definitely felt more connected to a warm power. It wasn't a power like I have to do this stuff. It was just a
Right.
knowing, a kind of, yeah, stop obsessing about this. Just stay in the body and get grounded to it and bring the life force behind it. So that was beautiful.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Mm.
Great, great. So now I'm going back into teacher mode for a second because I have a question. And you can put it into the chat. Which knowledge center do you spend most of your time in? Which knowledge center do you spend most? Okay, so we got Patty. Keed! Okay, Mike, your heart, gut.
Yeah,
Okay,
heart,
yeah,
head, then
yeah,
gut.
you're pretty integrated. Yeah, okay. Um, Alexi head and gut as well. Okay,
Mhm.
okay. I'm a gut kind of person, but I'm pretty groin also. Okay, and Len is head and heart. Okay, great. Okay,
Head
and
and gut.
what knowledge center do you spend the least time in? Or let me rephrase that. What's the knowledge center you want to grow more? You know, like you want to get better at. You know, I put down head, and actually one of the real gifts of LCE for me is that it's challenging me to actually, you know, and it's I like to say it's head groin. You know, like I'm becoming passionately interested in climate change in a way that I wasn't before. So
Mhm.
for me, I'm growing into the head. Mike,
Yeah.
it's growing for you.
I say groin, but really what it is I'm aware that I desire more time allowing my heart to sing. And for my heart to sing, it comes from the passion, that's in me, that
Mm,
fulfillment, that flourishing that wants to be. And that's more groin energy, it's more passion, you know? But
exactly.
it's yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then my gut knows that this is what I need for fulfillment. For me to
Mm,
living a fulfilled life, that I have to be expressing this, that's in me, and it
got
must
it.
come out. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
knowing you, I'm seeing that. As you're speaking, I'm seeing that happen in you too.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
an intention
Yeah.
that is being realized.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And Patty, um, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, I can speak to that. It's in my head, but it's in my head often through not necessarily resourcing it with all the others. And I just love the reaffirmation of going to our other sources of information and really grounding with them and connecting with them before you move into the words or the action. So it gives
Yeah.
great clarity if I've gone through that. So it's more the integration of all of them in a space. I am a head gut center on the Enneagram, for instance. So, and my heart is protected. So I've had to really open the heart. I can open it to others, but the heart opening is to myself, not so
Mm,
much to others. That's okay. But I love the energetic cycle that this exercise provided.
great. And what I'm also noticing is that you have great facility with your hands right now. Yes, your hands are really like, giving us so much right this second. And am I pronouncing your name correctly? Patty?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, I just want to make sure. And what about you, Marina? Anything that you want to express?
Yes, I think that, of course, my head is prevailing, as I think.
Of course.
Yes. I'm constantly thinking about how. So my head gives the orders, and my poor hands are thinking of how to provide it. I think that I have a rather strong this intuitive gut feeling, because sometimes my body gives me the signals then something is not okay. So it's not from my head, but it's from the whole reaction of the body when I am thinking that I'm doing something which is not needed to do, or maybe I have turned to the path which is not mine. And I think that the most problematic area is heart, because as Paddy told also us, I have this professional skill to open the heart to clients, to people with whom I communicate. I know how to do it. I know how to communicate with people, to listen them with all my sensing operational mechanisms of the body. But what about listening to your heart, to be with the connection of my heart itself, not as a work with somebody, but as their constant connection to what is really important, and where is this warmth and maybe caring about myself first of all. And that's the greatest problem. That's the main lesson I learned today, and thank you so much for it. I really appreciate this insight.
Here's the interesting thing. I mean, I don't know you that well. I've only known you for a few months, but if I was to describe you to somebody else, I would call you pure heart, because that's the impact that you have on others. Interesting. That's not the impact that you have on yourself, though. That's very, very interesting. Yeah.
It's overgiven, and sometimes I feel that it's not in balance. So sometimes we forget about ourselves and our own safety, both and psychologically.
Yeah. They say in the airplane, if there's an emergency, you put the oxygen mask on yourself first, right? And how many times I forget to do that, to feed myself, nurture myself. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there anybody else before we move on that wants to express anything? Because I want to give everybody space. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I would just, I wondered how much synchronicity is here, in this space. And what just Marina said, it's exactly what I also need to pay attention to, balance, my passion to deliver, to create something, to talk, to support, and all of this stuff, right? With supporting myself, right? And my insight here, right, was just listen your body. Your body always, your gut, your heart, right, always tells you what is right, what is wrong right now, right? Not in general, right? In the future, or like theoretically, or whatever. That's the head, right? Amazing, right? But about right now and here, right, and now, what you need, right? And if you can just connect with yourself right now, everything what is in your head is gonna become real, right? And with the more, I would say, ease and joy, right, and passion.
Exactly. You reminded me of a quote that her name is Barbara Chernak. She's somebody that I worked with. We created an acting class for leaders. And she always used to say, lose your mind and come to your senses.
Love it. Yeah, lose your
Yeah.
mind. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Thank
So I
you.
want to give a little space. Unless you have something to say, Lev, are you around there or
I think that he
you left?
will.
Okay. I kind of just want to open it up to what questions might you have? How might this relate to LCE? I would kind of want to give some space around that.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I need to go on to another meeting where I have to actually bring myself in. So I need
Sure.
I'm in a
Yeah.
different way. Just appreciated it enormously. And I've got a few people that I might like to link to the work that you're doing, because we work with the Ubuntu Coaching Foundation. So we started that, and that's about working with communities as well. So
Oh, fantastic.
I'll put them in contact. Many
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Sure thing. Sure
No,
thing.
great. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Patty.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, with the time that we have left, any comments or
You know, the thing that really just comes forward for me is that, you know, when we're working with the populations that we serve, you know, what we call emergent talent, you know, sometimes it might be a kid who's part of a marginalized community, but to just open up this awareness, you know, to the wealth of resilience that's inside of them, inside of each one of us as human beings, you know. It's like being introduced to a new territory, a new geography, a new land, you know, like you haven't left anywhere, but you discovered it right where you are, you know. And I think that's what really excites me about this work, you know, being able to bring these new ideas, you know, to people who have been confined to, you know, survival. You know, if you looked at the Maslow, you know, hierarchy of needs, like they've been stuck in that safety, security, belonging quadrant, you know, for so long. And to be able to step out of that, right, into the idea about passion, what makes my heart sing, my purpose, that my life could actually be a place of flourishing, and it's like, you know, the intellect that has been so constrained is like, what's that? You know what I mean? And when, you know, they're introduced to it, like there's this unfoldment. So I see that in the work that we do, like when we were working with SAR, how the light bulbs came on, you know, with everybody that we worked with. They were like, wait, I never realized that, you know? And this work has just such great potential for the planet, you know, which is
here's also the interesting thing. You know, I've been doing my internal data research. It's not scientific, it's more kind of experiential, but I've noticed that in Western culture, we've all been taught to come from our head and our hands, basically. You were talking about Marina. And when I go into, you know, what Mike is calling emerging talent communities or marginalized communities, much of the knowledge centers that they navigate out of are their heart, their gut, and their groin. So there's a real opportunity to learn from each other. So one of the visions that Mike and I have is that we get groups of people together that are more organizationally proficient, like, you know, executives and managers, you know, people that, or city leaders, you know, and then also put them into rooms with community activists and, you know, people from the community, and have them learn from each other through coaching and leadership development.
Yeah. credible messengers. And you know, I have facilitated dialogues between youth that were termed at risk. Many of them were in boot camps, you know, for behavioral issues, but we brought them into the room with police officers, and we facilitated a conversation between them. And it was just golden. It was golden. And I'll just remember one scene where there was a youngster who, the first thing he said when he saw the officers, like, I don't like cops, you know. The police killed my cousin and I just don't like them, you know. And so each of them got a chance to tell their story through the session and, you know, to learn more about each other. The officer was talking about his 6-year-old little girl and how he has to promise her that he's going to bring her daddy home safe every night, you know. And then at the end of the session, I asked people, so what were your learnings? What would you like to say? And I asked the young man, I said, so how do you feel about the police now? He says, I still don't like him. I said, well, what about Officer Rodriguez? He said, oh, him? Oh, he's all right, you know? And so there was a bonding between these two people, you know, in the community, right? Just from the conversation, the connection, the vulnerability, right?
Right.
You know, and what we've all done here today, you know, we took time just to connect, right?
Exactly. You know, I love what you're saying, Mike, and it reminds me of that expression. It's hard to hate up close.
Yeah. Right.
You know, when you put people together in the same room, they start finding, wow, man, you know, like, I relate to that person. The person that I think I hate, I relate to.
Yeah, that's the power.
I would also support the idea, right? And that what we just also discussed on a summit, right? When we were talking about spiral dynamics, right? So that there are 3 rational levels, right? And that's about heart, gut, intuition, feelings, emotions, connection with your body, right? Yourself, right? And only after the rational levels are coming, right? And sometimes I think I agree with you totally, right? That in modern world, we learned so well how to be smart, how to be productive, efficient, you know, and all of this stuff, right? Creative, right? Create new ideas, solutions, and to be useful, valuable, right? With our head and hands, right? But it looks like we need to get let me say go downstairs, you know, in our like a cave, internal cave with the treasures, right? To connect, to open up, right, what we have inside us, right, and to get back and go already on the top of our rationality, right, and post-rationality, where we can fulfill all our knowledge, right, our skills with meanings, purpose, feelings, passion, right, and all of these beautiful things which we just connect.
And by the way, I learned so much from your presentation around spiral dynamics. I don't know that much about it, but I always thought that spiral dynamics, you know, like you would go to the next level as though the level below was not as good as the next level. You were showing the strength in all the levels, and I really appreciated that because it gave me a completely different perspective.
Yeah, we have everything inside us, right? We just need to activate it and balance it and integrate it. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this absolutely beautiful conversation and the most important experience. It was absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for it.
Thank you. All right, and I also want to let you know that, and then I know we have to get going, but that the person that did the first testimonial, Kwame Thompson, I'm going to be inviting him into LCE.
Oh,
Great.
that's amazing.
Yeah. So
great.
All right, take care, Lev.
Thanks,
Take care,
Lev.
everybody.
It was fantastic. Thank